Welcome everybody to our latest at-home meeting. Welcome to your home. If it's like where I am, it's raining and horrible and dull. So hopefully this is a nice bit of respite for you to get some warmth and to share some ideas about protecting your network. So I'm really pleased to welcome Robert and Peter from Whalebone. And I will leave them to introduce themselves. And as usual, we have our eminent interviewer, Brian from Proactive PR. And I'm also delighted to say that Proactive PR are planning to join UKWISPA as well. So I'm hoping to announce that very soon. And I'm sure that they'll be interested in offering good value services across our membership. So at this point, I'd like to hand over to Peter to introduce himself and to start our session for today with a formal presentation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, David. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Whalebone meeting at your homes. I'm glad to introduce myself. I'm a guy who is responsible for our sales and development in ISP segment, and I have here our CTO, Robert Scheffer, who is responsible for the whole technical background of Whalebone. I will give you a presentation of a couple of slides about what's Whalebone about, and then Robert will introduce a few interesting technical details. Should you have any questions, please write to the chat downstairs and we'll answer it, or ask for David to start it. I will start my screen sharing, and let me start it. You should see my presentation now. I think it's all right. And the topic is today protecting your network from malware with Whalebone DNS. Whalebone itself is DNS Resolver, what is quite state-of-the-art functions full-stack DNS Resolver, but it has a layer that is able to filter malware out of your network and also do kind of things like content filtering and so on. Why we are aware of malware and DNS? That's because 91% of malware, according to Cisco's data, is using DNS to act properly. But not less than 70%, actually 68% of organizations don't monitor the DNS resolvers, DNS traffic at all. And if we check how many WISPs are under cyber attacks, it's almost 90%. So it's good to say that the DNS resolving is a good way how to improve your network protection. And moreover, according to the ISPs data, almost 100% of users who complete their cybersecurity survey thinks that ISPs should be proactive in maintaining customer protection. So what Whalebone is doing is providing network protection without need to install any additional software to your end devices, because the filtering is made on the network level infrastructure. What can malware cause to your network? I'm sure that at least part of you have experienced kind of IP blacklisting or even IP range blacklisting, connectivity wasting, or even complaints from customers who told, hey, my internet connection is not working well, it's too slow, and so on. And it can be impact of malware. Moreover, DNS environment is quite a challenging one because there are new RFCs, new regulatory requirements, and so on. And that's actually what you need to be aware of and you need to deal with. And Whalebone is able to help with all of these things to you. Actually, Whalebone, if I'm going to describe it as a service or as a solution, is a tool that is facilitating your network management and protection. And its technical functions like anomaly detection, API integration, or graphic user interface. But it enhances your service reliability and performance and improving your customer user experience. It's because of top latency. Even there is a filtering solution and it's expected that the latency can be higher. It's actually not. It's working quite well. You don't need to take care about it, because in the case there is an issue, you can be alerted about it, and you can take care about it after the alert. It's not a very demanding solution, because the price is very affordable, hardware requirements are pretty small, we take care about the upgrades, and these upgrades are done in your network without any downtime. And the solution is based according ISP's needs. When we start developing Whalebone, it's our own product. The idea was to try to ask ISPs what they need, and our idea was to build something like Cisco umbrella, OpenDNS. But ISPs told us we need to have a local on-premise resolver in our network. So that's one of the impacts how we were influenced by ISPs. And Whalebone can also give you a source of additional revenue per user, because you can sell content filtering or security to the end users. So let me sum it up. Whalebone raises DNS resolution to the next level. It is on-premise resolver for ISPs, but is facilitating your network management and protection, and opens up additional revenue streams. How is this done? It's Robert's part. He's going to briefly introduce our technical part.
Hey, thank you, Peter. Let me jump on a few really overview introductory slides into how our technology works. So the main architectural thing and the main architectural point is that you have a complete control over the resolver. You can have the resolvers installed on your premises. You can use it installed into some IaaS cloud of yours or of your preference, and everything crucial for the DNS resolution and for the security filtering is running directly on those resolvers. So even if some of our cloud infrastructure that's preparing the threat intelligence database, etc., is down, you are still 100% up and working, and you don't care. Your customers get the DNS resolution and the security without any hassle. On top of that, on top of those resolvers, we really try to make it as easy for you as possible. Actually, in the beginning, we had some issues with the customers that actually forget that they use our service because they didn't have to attend to anything. It just worked, and that's why we added reporting, alerting API to give you more information about what's happening in your network, if there are any threats, if there are any issues, or also we understand that the main reason for the DNS in your network is to have the best network service, and the security is only add-on. So we are also monitoring latency, and many customers actually feedback that the deployment of Whalebone actually improved the network speed and lowered the latency on the DNS level. The installation is really easy. So what you do, you ask Peter for an account in our management portal. You get the account, you just prepare a clean Linux machine, and you copy paste an installation command, and in 5 minutes you are up and running. You have the resolver ready, and you can start processing the DNS traffic. That's all. So it's really it's a matter of minutes basically. Okay, Peter, can we go to the next slide, please? So we have the resolvers up and running, and now let's get briefly to the security part. What we give you is a possibility to adjust how much aggressive you want to be on the threats on your network. You are able to move the thresholds. That's a screenshot in the middle. So you are able to move it around. You can be more aggressive. You can block more threats. Of course, there is some chance that you will get a bit more false positives, or you want to be really cautious. So you will stick to the defaults, and you will just stop the most obvious threats on your network. What does it mean that you will stop them? Now, when we are blocking something, we redirect the user, if the user is going there via browser, we redirect the user to a blocking page that informs the user what happened in your branded page. So it can be, there can be your logo, your brand, your information, your contact information. You can provide any guidance to your customer that you want. And actually, what you also can provide is a possibility to have there a bypass button, where the user can say, okay, I want to go there anyway. I know you are telling me this is malicious, this is dangerous. I want to go there, and I don't want to ask anyone. So there are no help desk calls to your support. But what is actually based on our reporting, most of the security threats, they actually happen invisible to the user. It's some malware running in the computer. It's some malicious extension in the browser. It's some malicious script on the website, and the users are actually not aware that there has been something which was blocked. So it's actually good for you, because you stop the malware, but the users, they don't complain. They are just happy that they have a seamless browsing experience. And regarding the threats, there is we cover the malware infections, the botnet communication, also phishing and scams, adware, spyware, coin miners, the malicious ones included in the website or installed in the computers. And you are in charge of what you actually want to block. So you can decide this on the security policy level. Okay, let's proceed to the next slide. All the policies, the security policies, also the content filtering policy. You can see a part of the content filtering policy on the right, where you can, for example, choose to filter out the adult content or some unwanted content from the network. All the policies can be assigned to particular IP ranges. So you can assign a specific policy to a school, to a public institution, to a business, corporate business that can order the service from you. So all these can be, the policies can be completely different to different networks. Or maybe someone will ask you, hey, don't do any security for me. I'm a security expert. I want to handle this myself. So you can do it. You just assign some exception to that particular IP. So, and all this information, all the databases, they are continuously updated on your resolvers. You don't have to do anything manually. This happens on the background, and you just decide what policy should be applied, and everything else happens automatically. So this is the very basics on how to deploy Whalebone.
Then let me just close the presentation with some of our references. We are currently at 135 networks in 6 countries. We have been nominated as a shortlist finalist for Internet Industry Awards in UK as a best cybersecurity for ISPs. And you can see we are in large networks like O2 or Austria Telecom, but also in small networks, maybe you know Pure Fiber or NTE. And if you are interested in Whalebone and you would be even after the questions, then what you can do is to go for the full webinar, what is next week and the week after the next week. Or for even to ask directly for the trial account, I can give you extended trial account for 2 months, and you can try all the functions. It's very easy, and there is no obligation. So that was all from my presentation, and thank you for your attention, and we are ready for all the questions.
Okay, well, thank you both. That was very, very interesting. A matter of concern to us all, I'm afraid, at the moment, unfortunately. Robert, let's start with you. I'd like to know, really, what does the user actually see when the domain is blocked? And how do you actually deal with these false positives?
Well, we redirect the user to an HTTP page, an HTML page that can be completely branded by the ISP. So they can include any information they want to. We provide a template that they can use, so they can just swap the logo, for example, and that's all if they are okay. Or they can just hand it over to their designer team, and they can have a completely own design. It's up to them. And there is the button to continue anyway to the website. So this is one thing that can handle the false positives or anything that is considered a false positive by the customer. Or there is actually for the administrators or for the operators, we have a special button in the management, report possible false positive to Whalebone, and there is our support is constantly monitoring these messages. If someone reports the false positive, they look into it and they are able to provide some feedback. If the ISP doesn't want to wait for us, they can just add the domain to whitelist, and it's constantly immediately allowed.
Okay, and does your solution actually increase DNS resolution latency?
This is one of our main KPIs, not to increase the latency. So with every single release we are doing, we just take a plain DNS resolver, and we take our DNS resolver with the security modules, and we do the benchmarks to compare the latency. And our KPI is not to be able to measure a difference. The trick is, we don't do any external lookups. Everything happens in memory, in the CPU, while the DNS resolution is happening. So we use this time to do all the checks and not to lose any time.
And is the solution, compliant with all the up-to-date DNS standards around there in the market?
I think this is crucial. So. I mean, we don't develop our own resolver, some special Whalebone resolver. We think this is not a good idea. So what we use not resolver, which is used even in the major global services such as Cloudflare, etc. This is a base for our technology. So we support fully compliant things like DNSSEC, DNS over HTTPS, DNS over TLS. We also, for example, we help with the certification process for DNS over HTTPS with Google and Chrome. So we are able to support our customers with these tasks. So the RFC and standard, that's one of our also one of our cornerstones.
Okay, thank you, Robert. So Peter, you're the UK country manager, as you mentioned. So let's cut to the chase. What are the prices? What are the conditions of working?
I can see there is also a question regarding it in the chat. So there are basic two pricing models. One is when you want to use it as the network management and security tool, and no reselling for the end users. In that case, the fee is based on the network size. So let's say you have 1,000 subscribers. So the base price for one subscriber is 60. So you pay 60 pounds per month, and it includes everything, even the support, even the installation fee. There is no additional and hidden fee from our side. And there are quantitative discounts for larger networks. The second part of the question and answer is that if you want to sell it to end customers, like the additional service, then the pricing is slightly bigger. And it's not available anywhere online. It's completely up to you. The only thing is that we need to discuss your business model, because we have a quite strict contract with our telco customers. We need to kind of be somehow responsible for the pricing to the end users. But we are very open in discussion, and yeah, that's also very easy according to network size. And you can ask for that pricing to me.
Okay, well, thank you both. I'm going to hand you back over to David. I think he's been monitoring questions that have come in. I'm sure there's been plenty, so I'll leave you to it for now.
Thank you, Brian. Thanks, Robert and Peter. The pricing question is the only one that we've had, but I've got a few of my own, and I'd like to just open up a few more questions through to our audience in the background as well. If anybody does want to raise any questions, you can use the chat feature at the bottom or the Q&A feature at the bottom of your window. I also thought it'd be interesting to have a little poll. So I'm just going to publish a couple of questions there, really, just to get a gauge. This is not really to try and create sales leads for Whalebone, but really to see the state of the market. You know, as a trade association, we like to watch and monitor how members operate and the kind of challenges and threats that they see, to see if there's anything that we can do as an organization to help out. So there's a couple of questions there about whether or not you've been blacklisted, or if you and how you deal with DNS at the moment. We'd be interested in your views. And again, we do use this kind of information to try to put together press releases as well. So we like to keep in touch. This is part of what we're doing with proactive PR in order to try and see increase the prominence of our industry. So I had a couple of questions as well, if I may. And if anybody else has any, then please let me know. You mentioned earlier on, Peter, that customers can charge, in effect, to apply content filtering onto their networks. So some customers will value that quite highly, I'm sure. You know, I've spoken to customers who want to provide a bit of family protection and that kind of stuff. What, in your experience, how much do your clients charge? How much could an operator charge in order to add that type of capability onto their offering?
Depends on the type of the customer. So, for example, if you are providing your internet service to the school customer, then the price can be higher. What is the standard on the market is about £1, according to our research. That's to the residential customer. But the thing is that we don't actually monitor the price for it in a small ISPs. We know it at large telco customers, and we know the price is from €1 to €2 according to the customer type per month.
So I mean, when you mentioned earlier on that, you know, if you've got 1,000 customers, it's going to be £60 a month. I mean, you can't afford not to buy it, really. I mean, it's a no-brainer. And if you've got 1,000 customers and 100 of them are happy to pay £1 each to have extra capability, then, you know, it pays for itself instantly, doesn't it? So it's certainly quite compelling. You mentioned schools. Schools can be quite cautious. And one of the things that I would be worried about if I was to offer protection and filtering to school customers is whether I'd be opening myself up to liability. So if I said to the school, I'm going to charge you an extra £50 a month or £100, whatever it is, to provide content filtering for the school, but somehow something got through. And, you know, the next thing, parents are complaining about the fact that, you know, the kids can watch terrorism videos or something like that. How safe is it? I mean, what are we exposing ourselves to if we say, you know, there is security, but maybe there are gaps in the security? How confident are you on that, and how can you support us in that?
It's more a question to Robert.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, any level security, any level content filtering that you will deploy to the network can be bypassed. So I think that our communication is to explain how to set it up properly. So one of the recommendations for the school is to don't allow any other DNS resolvers apart from the one that is doing the content filtering. If the content filtering is bypassed, I mean, it can be bypassed still. The children can use proxies, VPNs. The children can bypass even more restrictive technologies on the network. So this shouldn't be ever promoted as a 100% solution, as solution.
Nor should anything. Nothing should be 100%, but it's not necessarily going to be any less effective than other alternatives that are available.
Yeah.
Okay. I just wanted to clarify when you mentioned earlier on about dealing with other protocols like DOH, which is DNS over HTTPS. That's now quite common in lots of browsers. And I just wanted to confirm really for my own benefit here. So if you deal with DOH effectively, that means there's no browser alerts. So it's not going to start coming up with strange things on the browser. It just looks completely transparent as far as the user is concerned, isn't it?
I mean, there are several levels over DOH. I mean, one of the first things is to be compliant. If you are speaking about Google, to be included in the Google Chrome database. So you have to apply. You have to be included. You have to be certified, which means there are several steps that you have to be compliant with Google requirements. We can help you with this, and we can help you with setting up the DNS over HTTPS service on the resolver, having the proper certificates in place, etc. So we can work with this if the ISP wants to have this competitive advantage. In regards of things like Firefox circumventing the regular DNS resolvers and going directly to Cloudflare, for example, we can signal to Firefox, please don't do this. We have some special filtering in place. We would like you to use our resolvers. And this works. Firefox is compliant with this, and we have this in our default configuration.
Okay, thank you. So I'm going to turn to, I have one more question of my own, but I'll keep that for a sec. A couple of questions have come in from members. And Dudley is our most curious attendee by the looks of it. So very interested to know really how you compare with some other providers out there, such as Umbrella and FlashStart. So what is it that makes Whalebone stand out compared with other, I don't know if you want to use the word comparable, but similar approaches to this, such as?
That's the question for me. Whalebone is an on-premise resolver. That's the main technical difference. Yeah, and as an on-premise resolver, it works completely different. Umbrella or FlashStart, they've used mainly for their resolvers in cloud. You can have for sure DNS proxy in your network. FlashStart has started the DNS box currently, but we are full stack DNS resolvers. That's the main technical difference. So the latency is faster. You have full control over it, over your network, and so on. And Whalebone is primarily not a content filtering tool, but the DNS protection and network management tool. So what you can see through Whalebone and how you can administrate your network is much better and stronger. Yeah, but FlashStart, as it is a content filtering tool, it has, for example, like time conditions. We don't have it yet. We will have it soon, but they are better in it. But when you compare our pricing, our USPs also, but we are cheaper when you use it, and it's in effect saving your time. For example, with that impact of malware, you don't need to solve it, and so on. And I have made personally some tests of FlashStart before, and FlashStart is not as effective in network protection as we are. Maybe there is another USP that Robert can mention about Cisco Umbrella, because it's a more corporate tool. I'm not responsible for corporate customers, so please, Robert, if you have anything else to add, please do it.
Well, the main difference architecturally is that you have the resolvers under your control in your premises, and as long as your network is up and running, you can provide the DNS server, even though the cloud provider did any mistake. Your network is still 100% available. And according to our comparisons, using the on-premise resolver in smaller to in medium ISPs, etc., it's faster, it's lower latency than using the cloud resolvers. So this is our experience. And we were pushed to have the on-premise resolver by many of our customers, and they are happy to have that. I think this is the crucial difference.
Thank you. And in terms of the implementation, so the operator needs a Linux server, presumably nothing to. You don't need like 20 cores of Xeon processor. It's a bit more light touch than that, isn't it? So if I had 2,000 subscribers, what would that look like in terms of a physical machine that you think would be comfortable with that? The cores?
I mean, like for example, like up to 10,000 subscribers usually can be handled without any hassles on the minimum requirements, which in our case are two CPU cores, which are not used to the full extent usually, and 4 gigs of RAM. We will use like 2 to 3. 4 are just to have some spare. So these are our requirements usually running in a virtual machine. I think that's basically nothing.
Yeah, and so how do we help to ensure that the user doesn't just try to bypass our own DNS? So do you intercept that and forward DNS requests? What would be?
This is a very tricky question. So there are two types of what you can do. I mean, if the user actually orders the service from you, and we are speaking about the paying, like the paid service, then the user doesn't want to do this. And I mean, if the user is not paying for the service, only for your ISP services, we don't recommend you to force the user to the resolvers. I mean, there is still a network neutrality in place, so the user is free to use any other resolver they want to. Our experience is that most of the users, it depends from ISP to ISP, but most of the users, close to more than 95% of the users, still stick to the default resolvers of the provider. And this is tightly connected to our strategy, not to cause any issues to the subscriber. Only stick to the real security issues on the network, and not to motivate the customers to switch to anything else.
So it's in everyone's best interest, really, is one way to position it. But of course, there are always people who want to try to go their own way and to bypass things and configure things on their own device, behind the router and all that stuff.
It's their decision. It's their decision, and we don't think there should be stopped. It's still, there is the network neutrality in place, and it's their free decision.
Okay, we've got a question from Stephen Bond, which was how will you handle Apple notification blocking, which they said that is going to be introduced in the next release of iOS?
Can you please be a bit more specific? We have seen the new DNS updates for iOS 14. We have also attended some private sessions with the technical specialists from Apple, but I'm not actually aware how this fits for the updates. There are some updates.
Stephen,
Hi guys, can you hear me?
Yes, yeah, just if you could expand for us.
No worries. I believe in the latest meeting that they had about the next release, that essentially iOS is going to give the end user and the client essentially a notification on their mobile phone to say there is filtering on your network. So it could essentially be intercepted. Like you've got the HTTPS certificates that it comes up with a warning saying, website may not be who it says it is. I believe they're going to be doing the same type of thing for the DNS filtering.
So first of all, we will have to look on how the detection will go. We don't do anything like non-standard things that we will be redirecting all NX domains to something else and etc. So we really stick to filtering only the malicious domains. Apart from the malicious domains, all the DNS traffic sticks to the standards. I was mainly following the thread with the DNS over HTTPS on the new iOS version. So I'm not really sure how this
I think
will.
it might connect to that. I'd like to suggest, if I can, if it's not something that we can get a clear answer on now, it's one
That's
that
fine.
you can have a look at, and then we can get back to Stephen on that if we can come up with a better answer.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
We'll do it.
All right, thank
you.
Thanks, Stephen. Do we have any other questions that anyone would like to put forward to our panel today? Dudley has asked a few questions. Would you like me to put you on, Dudley, so you can speak directly there? Dudley, you're if you wish to speak, you can now.
Yeah, sorry. Hopefully you can hear me now.
Yes.
Hi. So I'm asking lots of questions because it's something that I've been looking at in terms of other providers, and I think this this solution where we can put our own resolvers as hardware on our network sounds really interesting. I recall at a previous seminar that I went to a couple of years ago about malware on websites that a lot of the malware that we see, or ransomware and all that kind of stuff, actually exists within malicious links on the likes of social media sites such as Facebook, and LinkedIn is particularly popular because it's perceived as a sort of business site where that kind of bad stuff doesn't happen, but actually
sort of embedded in adverts, that kind of thing.
Makes it right. Yeah, that's right. So rather than run the risk where we say, well, we're blocking a website because it's got a virus on it, clearly you can't block the whole of Facebook or the whole of LinkedIn. So is Whalebone sort of resolving each link or potentially malicious link on these websites, so you can go along your business normally on, say, Facebook, and then if you hit something, it goes, oh, hang on, we've found a malicious bit of content within this website, and it sort of protects you at that level rather than just banishing you from the whole of social media.
Yes. I mean, well, the main score that we maintain for the domain is whether this domain could be blocked on the DNS level without actually causing false positives. So this means we cannot block LinkedIn because the score for LinkedIn will be really low. It means this is a regular website, we cannot block it. But if you get a message on LinkedIn with a malicious URL and you click it, your computer will send a DNS request with this particular domain, and we are able to block it at this stage. And the same thing, for example, happens if you receive an email with a malicious URL. Again, this will be resolved, and we can intercept it here. Or if you receive an email with a malicious attachment, actually, most of the attachments are only downloaders that download the malware payload. And they have to resolve some domain, usually compromised WordPress, and we intercept the traffic at that stage when the malicious attachment tries to get to this compromised website. We are able to intercept, block it, and stop the malware in the operations. So we are not blocking the regular websites, even if there is a small chance of something malicious, but we are pinpointing the really malicious domains where there is a low chance of a regular use case.
Okay, yeah. So actually, just on the point of email, and that was really interesting because another potential security flaw I've read about is that somebody will create a malicious, well, they'll have a piece of malware, and they'll use an attachment in an email that points to somewhere that's actually fine at the time. So it gets through all the filters by the email provider because it goes to somewhere legitimate. And then that URL destination gets changed, say, in the middle of the night, so that by the time someone wakes up and clicks on it, it then goes to a malicious site. So I guess you're checking the DNS every single time somebody clicks on a site. So it gets around people trying to, fudge the spam filters on emails.
Exactly, and actually, what happens during these redirections, there are usually even multiple redirections. Like if you click a URL, you can get even like 2 or 3 different redirections based on how the malware operator changes these redirections to target what he wants. So this has to be checked every single time, and on the DNS level, it can be checked every single time the user wants to access these web pages.
So how quickly does that DNS get updated? Because clearly somebody, or there's got to be systems that check every link, all the time to make sure they're not infected.
What we do at the moment, we update it if we see some new major campaign, we usually push the updates a bit faster. Regularly, we update it like every hour. But what we have on our roadmap in a short time span is to have real-time updates to all the resolvers based on message queue. So anything that we detect in our backend on our cloud will get immediately distributed to all the resolvers. But they will keep it locally on premise. So even if the cloud connection is lost, they still use it. They can still apply it. So we aim to have real-time updates to all the resolvers.
Right. Thank you.
Okay. I think I need to start to draw things to a conclusion. Was there anything else you wanted to ask, Dudley, at this point?
No, I'm just really sort of grateful for everyone to give their time up to talk to us about this product. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Dudley. We really appreciate that. So I just really would like to wrap up and then just talk about a couple of things. So firstly, thank you very much to Robert and Peter for your time and for Brian today. It seems to me that DNS protection, it is not a 100% protection of a network against every nasty thing that's out there. It's not going to stop a large-scale DDoS attack, crippling a network. But what it can do is keep sensible users much safer. It can take load and traffic and malicious content away from your network. And if you do find customers who get malware onto their machine, it's a pain in the arse. I've seen this myself. You get a bunch of people who the email phishing clickers who click on stuff, and it's the same people who seem to do it all the time. And it just creates noise on your network. And then you get spam cop and other people then blacklisting your network, and you get other anti-malware companies emailing you saying, your IP address is attacking our network and all this kind of stuff. And all of that traffic can create quite a lot of noise. It's a lot of unwanted packets and a lot of unwanted bandwidth being consumed across your network. And the great thing with Whalebone is it's a very effective solution to deal with that, the DNS approach, and it's incredibly good value. So I think, in that sense, it's very hard not to recommend it. So I really think it's a good thing that everybody should consider putting onto their network. So thank you very much, everybody, and thank you to Whalebone for speaking to us today. I'd just like to move on to a couple of other little minor points in relation to UKWISPA. It's noteworthy, and this is probably a COVID-19 thing. We've had the largest number of new membership applications that we've ever seen since we started. So, it does seem that there's a frustration amongst customers and users in general that, broadband is rubbish. Let's go and fix the problem ourselves. So that's great, and it's great for ourselves. We're now underway with the engagement that we've had with Ofcom. So we will be writing to everybody over the next few days, talking about how we can report coverage data to Ofcom in a sensible way. And I'd like to draw your special attention to a couple of events that are coming up in this at-home series. So I'm not allowed to say any real details about the event that's taking place on the 23rd of July. But what I can say is that if you have any interest in operating in Scotland, and you're interested in accessing public funding, you really, really need to get that in your calendar. So we will give a bit more detail a bit closer to the date, but the Scottish Government have asked us not to say anything at all specific at this point. So I'm being as indirect as I can in providing a hint to everybody there about why they should attend. And then secondly, on the 30th of July, I'm really pleased that we've secured input from one of the senior vice presidents at Facebook in their communications team to join us to talk about Terragraph. And the reason that I highlight that is that Terragraph will change your life. At least I hope it will. It's going to be one of the most interesting technical or technology announcements that we're going to see over the next couple of years. And hardware will be shipping this year, which can do 15 gigabits. Okay, so if you want to be able to participate in that world of multi-gigabit wireless connectivity, book that in your calendar. We're going to do it a bit later in the day because our friends in Facebook don't get up quite so early. They're based in Palo Alto in Silicon Valley. So that's going to be a 4 p.m. event. Normally we do these at 2. And we're also going to be including Cambium, Ciclu and Radwin within that session as well. So those ones are particularly important for our industry. And so I'm just trying to give you a bit of heads up, especially for those in Scotland for the event that we're going to do on the 23rd. So that's it for our session today. This has been recorded. It normally takes us a few days to turn around the recording, and we'll upload it as soon as we're able to. I'd like to thank everybody for attending, especially to Brian, to Robert and to Peter. Thank you for your time today, and to everyone at home for joining us today in this session. Thank you very much indeed, and everybody please keep safe. Thank you.